Hi and welcome to the Affiliate School. I've got a special guest today. I'm joined by Sarah Tamsin, who I came across on Twitter. Sarah, big hello to you. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to be talking about Google Analytics 4, a little bit of Google Tag Manager and how we can use the two, how you use it for tracking things like clicks and obviously all your standard analytics data for your niche sites. And yeah, so welcome.
That's great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really pleased to be here. My name's Sarah Tamsin, and I've had my own niche sites for about 6 or 7 years. And I also make websites for other people. I work for clients and I run live training sessions to small businesses here in South Wales, teaching them how to make their own websites and improve their content and stuff. So yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. And you're pretty active on Twitter as well, aren't you? I don't know if it's a recent thing, but I think what I first kind of came across you put out a first ever thread on Twitter, and I shared it, and it was a fantastic thread talking about your experience with niche sites and buying products for reviews and that sort of stuff. So I think it's a really interesting journey that you've kind of gone on, and you've probably been in the niche site game longer than me. I think mine's probably more like 5 or 6 years, where you've been doing it a little bit longer than that. So yeah, I mean, how did you get into it to begin with?
Well, I launched my first kind of niche site as really like a hobby. I mean, I did intend to make money from it because I just kind of come across the concept of like passive income, although I've learned now that it's really not very passive. So yeah, that was the goal really, was like I kind of set up a website, started to see some traffic come to it, and then I joined some affiliate programs and some ad networks, and yeah, pretty soon, started to make a few hundred extra pounds a month alongside my full-time job. And after a couple of years, I loved my job, and it was basically just this was extra money because my job, as much as I loved it, it didn't pay the best, and I didn't want to leave, but I did want more money. So it was kind of perfect for me. It was like an extra source of income. But then my job disappeared. I was unfortunately made redundant. I was working for a charity, and it's just one of those things, working for charities, like funding came to an end for my project. So I had to leave. And fortunately, I had at that time then 2 niche websites that I could kind of fall back on and plug the gap before I found another job. I found another job which I hated. I absolutely hated. Like, I'd had such a nice experience for like the last 8 years where I was in an amazing job with lovely people, and I went to a completely different job which I just was not for me. So I set myself a goal. I was like, right, within 1 year, I need my niche sites to overtake my salary. And fortunately, I was lucky. I say it was lucky. It was hard work and luck, but I did meet that goal, and I was able to quit the job that I hated, walked away from, like living the dream. Amazing. I was like, yes, I've got income for myself. I can now choose how I spend my time. It was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. And I have started other websites in the meantime, and I said earlier, I make websites for clients because people started to hear about me locally and wanted websites for themselves, for their own businesses and stuff. And that was my career before, long before I was actually a website developer, way back in the mid-2000s. So I was kind of using some of those skills. Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, to have that level of success within 12 months is just phenomenal.
Well, it was a bit longer than 12 months because the sites were kind of well established beforehand, but they were just ticking over, making a few £100s each month. But then you suddenly
focused in on them and went all in, so to speak. Okay. Yeah. So, and have you still got those sites? I mean, 7 years in niche sites is like forever, isn't it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've still got the sites. In fact, it's one of my big regrets. I wish I'd sold the site about 2 years ago because that was when it was kind of at its peak.
Yeah.
It doesn't do as well as it used to. It still makes me money every single month. It makes well over £1,000 every month, but it's not as successful as it was. I've got other sites which are now more successful than that one, but it's I've always worked on my own. I've never brought anybody else into the business. I've never worked with virtual assistants or anything. So I think this is something I'm planning to do this year, is to bring other people in and to turn my websites passive again, because I am only one person, and at the moment I'm doing quite a lot of work on them in order to bring them back up to speed. And I am seeing progress. I am seeing like, last year, or pretty much every niche site saw a dip in traffic after the September and December updates.
Yeah.
So I saw about a 30% reduction in traffic, which has resulted in a drop in income as well.
Yeah.
But because I've got other sources of income, it's really not a major deal, but it's still, it still would be nice to see those sites come back.
Yeah, absolutely, because you've got the client work going on as well. And I suppose, because obviously I've asked you to come on today to talk about Google Analytics 4, I suppose when you're working with clients, and I know this, analytics is a big part of it, the reporting and showing progress and all of that. But the same, of course, applies to us as niche site owners. We need to track our progress and understand, like you've just said there, you know that you've had a 30% dip in traffic, so you can start to go back and look at why that is and whatever. But just knowing that in the first place is key.
Yeah.
So you actually, I think I've seen that you go out and you do talks to businesses about setting up tracking and analytics and that sort of stuff, don't you? So you're quite active in the kind of business community as well in that sort of sense.
Yeah.
So what attracted you? Are you like, would you kind of pitch yourself as an analytics expert, or is it just something that you've naturally kind of become more proficient in?
Gosh, I don't know about analytics expert. I certainly,
that's what I'm selling you as, Sarah.
Yeah, well, I certainly consider myself a website expert in general, because making websites has been something I've been doing now for the best part of 20 years in some way, shape or form. Google Analytics is one of those tools that kind of everybody who has a website is aware of. And most people have Google Analytics installed. The old version now, I'm talking like Universal Analytics. But even with that version, the majority of people, businesses and bloggers and niche site owners, would put the code on their website and then start to look at the data. And that you're only getting about like 10% maybe of what Google Analytics can do if that's the approach that's taken. But the thing with Google Analytics is really not intuitive. It's not intuitive at all to use. And you have to proactively go and teach it to yourself, or go and find training on it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think
now GA4's come out, and there's all these new events in there, like people are seeing click and scroll and other things. And it's like, well, Universal Analytics has been able to track those things forever. It's just now that GA4 is doing it by default, but there's still more that you can do to get better, more granular data.
Absolutely. I definitely put myself in that category as well, of just installing the code and then just having a little look at the data every now and again. That's pretty much all I do. I mean, I kind of think of GA4 a little bit as being a bit like when WordPress went from classic editor to Gutenberg blocks. Mm-hmm. And I was scared of it for years and years and years. And then suddenly I made the jump, and now I'm thinking, why didn't I do it sooner? Is that kind of the case? Because everyone kind of, a lot of people hate on GA4 and say kind of what you said there. It's not very intuitive. It's not particularly user friendly. But I'm guessing it must be more powerful than Universal.
I don't know if I say it's more powerful. I just think that it's different. It tracks things in a different way. So Universal Analytics, a lot of the reports you might click on, some of them you'll see they're completely blank. They'll just be like a flat line of like 0. Like, for example, if you go to the behavior reports and then click on like events, it'll usually be blank unless you've set events up. And sometimes then people will put plugins on their WordPress site like Monster Insights and start to see events there. You think, right, where are these coming from? The thing is that Google Analytics cannot track things backwards. So as soon as you like create an event or a conversion or a goal or whatever you've created, you can't see it backwards in time. You can only see it from that day onwards. So it's a missed opportunity, really. So I like to track everything from day one, just so that I've got like a complete set of data. Because the training course that I went on years ago for Google Analytics, as this thing really stuck with me, was if you put rubbish in, you get rubbish out. Mm-hmm. So if you put nothing in, like if you just put the code on your website and sit back and wait for the reports to show up, then you're going to get nothing out of it. Like page view data and traffic data, it only tells you because really small part of the story. It doesn't tell you anymore, which is why I think Google Analytics as a platform generally, it kind of sucks. But when it's been set up well, then it does give you really good data.
So do you have a certain I'm guessing you have a certain process that when you first set it up, this is what you install. I put this in, this in, this in. And is that then fairly straightforward to do once you kind of know what you're doing?
Yeah. So, for example, let's think an email address click on a website. So you've got an email address which usually starts with mail to. In HTML, if you want to make it into a clickable email link, it starts with mail to. So one of the first things I track on any website would be people who click on the mail to link. So you'd use that logic. Any link that the URL starts with the word mail to is an email address click. So then that's a conversion. If it's a small business website and you're doing leads gen, you want people to email you. So that's a conversion. So every link that starts with mail to would be tracked as an event. And then you might think, well, some of my email addresses on my website are just the plain address. Some of them might be a button saying contact us now. Some of them might be an email icon. You want to track which method people are using to contact you, what wording works best in your calls to action, which page are they on when they're emailing you, so you can start to decide what call to actions are converting better for you, which pages are converting better. So then that's email address links. And then you can also do telephone number clicks like TEL. So in HTML, if you want a clickable telephone number, it starts with TEL. So then you'd track all of those. And then you'd think contact form. You track every form submission. You could put an ID on the form. So you'd use the CSS on the page to determine which forms are conversions and which forms are not. What else could you do? Affiliate links. So
I was just going to come on to that.
Yeah,
so surely this is
the big ones. Yeah, when it comes to affiliate links. So obviously Amazon, any link on a page which is Amazon.com, you'd want to track. So I would create an event for that in Google Analytics or in Google Tag Manager to feed into Analytics for affiliate click. And you'd use Amazon.
Just interrupting there.
No, go for it. Sorry, I'm just talking on and on about the process.
Okay. So I use a plugin called Thirsty Affiliates, which is a link cloaker. There's others, but essentially that creates a URL redirect. But it's still obviously going to be a link click, and the first part of that link click is for the URL is going to be similar for everyone. So I'm guessing the same could apply for that.
So for any URLs, really, if you're part of a private retailer's affiliate program, which I'm part of quite a few, so if you're selling products, promoting products on susieshoes.com or something, you could put in there any URL that starts with this or that contains the word susieshoes.com. But then if you're using a tracking plugin, like you mentioned, Thirsty Affiliates, and the starting part of the URL might be /go or /ref or something, and then the end part is unique. You just set up a unique event for each affiliate program that you're in. And if you're in Amazon, it's important that you don't just track the word Amazon in the URL, that you have the short version as well, the amzn.com, in case you're using short URLs. And then if you've got images, which are links, and you would likely want to track the alt text of that image so you can tell which one people are clicking on.
Okay, so that's interesting. So is there anything else that you then would kind of set up as a default when you first go in?
Downloadable files as well, so a PDF file. So if somebody's got an opt-in on their blog or a content upgrade or lead generation, I track that anybody who clicks on a .pdf link or who signs up to a particular mailing list or a particular opt-in. Now, I know this data exists elsewhere. I know it exists in other affiliate plugins or mailing list software and stuff. But the benefit of having it all in Google Analytics is having it all in the same place. And then you've got, Google Search Console connected. You've got Google Ads connected if you do run ads to your site. And then you can really see which traffic sources are actually generating income for you. I think it's much better to have it all consolidated in one place.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, what do we do if we want to get this set up then? So I know we talked a little bit before we came on, and you were telling me about using Google Tag Manager versus just installing purely the GA4. Is there something that maybe you could show us so we can get an understanding of? I think most people can probably, take the code and install the code. We're all probably pretty much okay with that. But are there any kind of extra steps that we should take when we're setting it up? I know with universal analytics, there were certain settings that you might want to tick, like if it was e-commerce, for example, you might want to tick the e-commerce measurements, the extended e-commerce tracking. Is there anything like that we should be doing with GA4?
Yes, sort of. And I can share my screen in a moment and show you in a bit more detail. But going back to the first part you said about the code, that's actually, you may think that's the easiest thing, right? Oh yeah, just copy and paste the code onto the site. But I don't actually have the GA4 or the Universal Analytics code on any of my sites. I only have the Tag Manager code.
Yeah.
And then the Tag Manager code sends a page view event with every page view. So I find it's better because the Tag Manager is not the only way to do it. You know, you can edit your Google Analytics code to track things in a particular way. And you can also you can edit your HTML on the page to track events. But it's much easier to do it in Tag Manager because it's code free. Once you've got the initial code on the website, you don't need to be a HTML and JavaScript expert in order to do more tracking tags. And you can also put like the Facebook pixel on your site in Tag Manager, and there's like some other benefits to using Tag Manager. So once that's on your site and you've assigned your events, you've set them all up, you then need to go into GA4 to mark them as a conversion, because otherwise it doesn't know what's a conversion and what's not. And you've probably seen all of those default events in GA4. You can turn some of those off if you don't want them to come through, and you could add additional parameters to that. So, for example, it just tracks the click event. You might want to know what did they click on, what URL did they click on. You've got to add those parameters in yourself. So is it easier if I share my screen?
Yeah, is it worth us going in and having a look? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can do this. Right, share screen. Okay, so can you see that?
There we go. We can see it. Yeah.
Right. Have I frozen though? It looks like I've frozen.
It does look like you have frozen. I can hear you. I just can't see you moving.
Okay, that's strange.
We can see your screen.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'll just talk even though I appear to be frozen on the screen. So this is Google Tag Manager, and it's free to create an account. It's just on tagmanager.google.com. In the admin section of here, this is where you would get the code from. So you click on Install Google Tag Manager, and there's two bits of code. There's the head code and the body code, and I'm sure it's obvious to anybody who's copied and pasted scripts into their site before where it goes. This bottom code here is actually no script. Like there's no JavaScript in this bottom code. It's like a no script tag, which means that it would still track events even if somebody has JavaScript disabled. But I've actually stopped putting the no script on my site now because like nobody visits your page without JavaScript. So yeah, there's that. You put both of those codes on your site. Mm-hmm. Now, once you've got that on your site, technically you don't need Universal Analytics anymore. You don't need the Universal Analytics code or the GA4 code or any of that code that it's given you, because I go back into Workspace, click on tags, and see here that there's a Google Analytics tag which fires on all pages. So if I just click on this, there's the measurement ID. So this is from GA4. This is my GA4 ID, which you just put it in there, and it will send a page view event. So this will fire on all pages, and then that's what sends the page view event. If you have this on your site and the GA4 code, you'll get double page views and zero bounce rate and all of that stuff that you'd get. Basically, it's having the code on your site twice. Yeah. So yeah, this is the original. This is the first thing that I would put on every single site. And also, if you're still running UA at the same time, I would just click on here and click on Universal Analytics, tracking page views, and then click trigger. And I want it to trigger on every page. So then up in here, you'd have to type in your UA number for like the first time, the tracking ID. Mm-hmm. And then every time you had a single page view, it will send it through. So you can still use Universal Analytics with Tag Manager. But so that's a simple page view. I'm just going to discard that one. That's a simple page view event. And then I've also got one set up here, which is like a mail to one. This one tracks like email addresses. So I've called it email click, and I've also added these parameters for like click underscore URL, which if you click on this little plus icon, it will bring up a loads of variables. So say like, I want to know the click URL. So like I can click on that there and it will tell me what the URL that was clicked on was. So if you imagine this now as an affiliate link, so let's like create a new event to track an affiliate link. I will call it up here, like affiliate tracking, then configure the tag as a GA4 event. I'm going to select that GA4 page view that I had earlier and then call it like affiliate click. And then just that on its own would show up as an event, but we want to add some more information to it. So like I was saying earlier, I want to add the click text, so we know what the anchor text was that they clicked on.
Yeah.
And the click URL, which will be the URL that they clicked on. And then what will fill those parameters will be here. Then here's the click text, and then here's the click URL. So if you don't see those, you have to click on built-ins, and then you'll see like a long list of the different built-in variables in GTM. So like video title and things like that. But we just want something simple. We just want the click text. And the click URL. So these are like dynamic. So Google will take the value of this and put it into your reports.
Okay.
And then we want this to be triggered by going to add a new trigger. It's going to be just links. And then we want some link clicks. And it will be if the click URL contains Amazon.com, for example. Or we'll have it if the click URL. Oh, that's if all these conditions are true. Sorry. So I have to like add another trigger. So call that like Amazon.com, save. And then add another trigger so that it will, here we go, another one, just links. So say you've got one then for amzn.com if you're using shortened links, or you may want to put that as amazon.co.uk or something, if you want to track them separately. But just for the sake of this, I'll put amzn.com. So, and that is the click URL. So if the click URL contains amzn.com, then it will be triggered. This event will be triggered. So save that. So that's tracked now. That's given me an event called affiliate_click. I'm probably going to change that to Amazon_click because I'm obviously only tracking Amazon. And then if I was part of, I mentioned earlier, like Susie's Shoes affiliate program, I would do the same thing, but I would just call it like Susie Shoes Click or something. I mean, you can call these events whatever you want, as long as you're using some consistency across them. I think it's better. Yeah.
So then when we're looking at that in GA4, I'm guessing we can start to see, how many link clicks we've had per page view and that sort of thing. So we can start to get an idea as to how well each placement is converting and a page, if you've got a page that's getting 1,000 hits and it's only getting one click, but then you might have a page that's got 10 visits, but it's getting 10 clicks. Yeah. Then you can see that, that page is obviously outperforming the other. Exactly.
Yeah. That's the exact type of data that you want, right? You want to know which pages are making money on your site. So I'm just going to save. Once this is saved now, I'll just discard that one. But once you've got your events here, it's really important that you click the submit button in the top right. If you don't click submit and don't click publish, then it won't publish it onto your site. So yeah, then you can there's like version control and stuff in here. So, I would just put like Amazon affiliate. Continue, and then that publishes it then to your site, and then you can see like the changes that you've made. Yeah. So this is why it's so good for being like no code version. So just to give you a really quick insight into what else Google Analytics could do, GTM could do, it could add pop-ups to your website. It can run the Facebook pixel. So say where it's got there like a new tag, instead of it being a tracking tag, you could actually run like some code in there, you go like custom HTML. So say you've got like a MailChimp pop-up or something and you only want it to appear on certain sites, you could do that all through Google Tag Manager instead of having to edit the code on your website. So it is quite a good way for marketers to add marketing functionality to a website without custom coding. So
amazing. Do you know what? I didn't know that. That's brilliant.
And
that's
another thing is,
nugget.
if you're using Cloudflare, you could also run all of those. You could also run Google Analytics GTM. You could put those in Cloudflare instead. So those scripts would then run at like DNS level. You wouldn't even have to touch the code of your website. You're even far further removed from it. So
wow.
Yeah, it's called Cloudflare Zaraz, I think, Zaraz. If you've seen that in the panel, that's what it is.
I've got a question for you in a bit as well that someone popped in. I'd like to know how to give someone access to a specific section of GA4 reports only. For example, the e-commerce section and only for clicks from a specific source. I sometimes use GA Universal Analytics as a simple affiliate reporting tool, hence the question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. What I would do for that is I'd probably create a Google Data Studio report. So Data Studio, it's datastudio.google.com. No, it's not. Yeah. It's lookerstudio.google.com.
Oh, yes.
They changed their name to Looker Studio. So yeah, I would probably create that with just the tables and graphs that you'd need to do the reporting that you need to do, and then give them read-only access to the report.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, you should be able to see my GA4.
Yep, we can see it.
So this is my own website, and I've clicked on events. I'll just show you how I got here. And you'll see I need to show 25 per page. So I don't do an awful lot of affiliate marketing on this website, but you'll see here that I have got some custom events like join my Facebook group, my thank you page, mailing list _subscribe. These are some of my custom events. So for the handful of affiliate links that I do have on this site, I have a custom event here for affiliate _click. And then you can see some data for that. And now as I scroll down, these are my custom parameters that I put into the click URL, the click text, and the page title. These are not automatically sent. Actually, I think the page title is, but I put it as a custom parameter so that I could see it easily. So now I can see what URL they clicked on, which was this, I don't know what that is, networks thingy from Amazon, what anchor text they clicked on, and which page it was on. So the reason why I think there's some data missing here is because I didn't set it up properly, and I think there are some links there which maybe have the AMZN in it that I haven't put on there or something. But these parameters here, they're usually blank. They usually show up blank if you don't have any data in them. So say like if you've got a click text parameter, but there's no data that you're sending, then it just won't show up at all.
Okay.
So yeah, this is what it looks like in GA4. But then you've also got conversions as well. So say you've got like, you want to mark this as a conversion, you'd have to go into the admin section and then you go to conversions. If you click on events, you can just simply toggle these on or off as a conversion. So say I've got affiliate link as a conversion. Say I want to have my thank you page as a conversion as well. Then they will show up in the conversions report, not just the events report, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
You start to see absolutely how this could be really valuable as a niche site owner. It's really interesting to me. I mean, it's definitely something I need to get involved in. I've got no choice because Google's forcing us, aren't they? Every week they seem to change the color of the box that tells you that you need to change from universal.
So I've opted out of that. So I actually think of GA4 as a blank slate. So one of the things you've probably realized from watching this is that if you start to put messy data into GA, it's going to look messy. You know, if you start to have hundreds of custom events with loads of custom parameters and stuff, it's going to look messy. And that's what happens with a lot of UA properties, because you've actually been able to track events for this whole time, but it was called category action and label, and there was a lot of mess going in. People would mix up the category and the action, or it would just be messy. You'd end up with loads of ASCII characters in the event names and stuff, and it just looked a mess. So I think GA4 is a really good opportunity to start fresh and to start tracking things, say from the 1st of March, that everything's being tracked. So it's a good opportunity, really, even though people may not like it because it is different and nobody likes change, right?
Exactly. No one likes change. And, we're especially in the digital world where it's kind of forced on you all the time. I think people are so resistant to it, aren't they? So obviously you've given us a kind of whistle-stop tour there, and I think we had some connection issues where the screen was a little bit blurry. So it was okay. We could kind of see what you were doing. It just wasn't perfect, but I think that was just a good intro. And as much as anything else, I think it's just getting people's headspace into the fact that, this is something that we can embrace and that can actually help us, rather than being this big scary thing that's unknown. So I know you've got your sarahtamsin.com website where people can find out more about you and what you do and the services that you offer and all that sort of stuff. But what about if people want more on the Google Analytics 4, which I'm sure people will do? I know I do. So have you got something?
Well, I'm building something at the moment, putting together a course that will that specifically aims at people who do affiliate marketing to create better reports in GA4. And we can go much deeper than the information that I've given today and create those custom Google Data Studio reports where you can have one whole page that's just dedicated to your Amazon affiliates and one whole page that's dedicated to your AWIN affiliates and other programs that you might be part of. And then if you are doing other marketing like lead generation and selling a service or anything, I can also show you how to do those. So I am putting together a course at the moment called GA4 for bloggers or GA4 for niche site owners. It's in progress at the moment.
Brilliant.
So please just sign up if you're interested, and then you'll get an email as soon as it's launched. And
we'll drop the link to that in the description and pinned comment. So if you are interested in that, I think you said that it's probably not going to be a mega long course. It's not going to be super scary, but it's going to be pretty actionable for people.
Yeah, like a bite-sized learning where you will be able to put it into practice straight away. And you'll also have my Data Studio templates and my Google Tag Manager container. So it'd be even easier for you. I'll give you the step-by-step guide anyway, but there will be a ready to import container that you can just stick into Google Tag Manager, click submit, and then it will start tracking. Brilliant.
Well, I'll be on that list for sure. So if you are interested in that, guys, and I do recommend that you do. Sarah clearly knows her stuff. Then hop on that link and get registered on the email. Sarah, thank you so much for coming in and having this chat with us today. I think it's been really interesting to kind of just get we quite often I try and put tutorials and things out there, but GA4 has been on my list of things to try and get a video out on for so long, but I just don't have the expertise to do it. So to have someone like you come in and do that is really, really valuable. So thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. I'll talk about websites all night long. So I'm always happy to have these discussions. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, it's great to find people that are willing to do it, because in the real world, well, in my experience anyway, in the real world, people, they humour me, but they don't really want to listen.
Oh, no, I'll happily talk about websites for hours. It's probably my favourite topic.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure we'll get you on again. But again, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to seeing you here again in the future.
Brilliant.